Okay, guys, welcome to a brand new episode of WrestleSlam, the 4th of April. A lot of April Fool's jokes floating about, but Tim might joke. Tim, first of all, right? You had a good day yesterday. I'm going to get into that, right? You were in your special made bubble.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, I just had a few drinks to celebrate the good weather.
Yeah. And celebrate WrestleSlam next week as well?
Oh, yes. And really good with wrestling coming up. And obviously we saw Chris Jericho is coming on the podcast, which I had to celebrate that night. So
Yeah, I agree. And I heard there was a big riot in the city last night. You weren't involved with that, were you?
No, I think that's crazy. Hundreds of people meeting up. That places shouldn't be allowed to sell alcohol, take away alcohol if that's going to be happening.
You weren't involved though, yeah? You didn't have any, you didn't organise it or?
No.
Only joking.
I'll wait for the tailgates.
Oh, I love it. So obviously, it's very hard to stay inside on a day like today. Obviously, we've had 3 beautiful days there in Cork. So I really appreciate you sitting down in the heat for the next 50 minutes or so. But we're going to go straight to a massive topic. Now, with the whole April kicking off, we thought it was a joke, right? But Chris Jericho on the Broken Skull sessions with Steve Austin, it's real. We've seen the intro. I thought the promo was incredible. Journalism, what's your take on this? Obviously, this is groundbreaking. This could really lead to something.
How nuts is this? The most beautiful slap in the face on a Friday. That was just like blew everybody out of the water. I think it shocked. I'm fair to say shocked everybody at WrestleSlam for sure. I think we were like on the messages straight away. We were like, there is no way, it's a joke, but it's April 2nd. I have a couple of thoughts on this. I think it's super exciting, and my God, I'll be glued in. No bother, I'll be glued to it. But I'm kind of like, Chris Jericho is on a 3-year performance contract with AEW. So he started in January 2019, so he's into his 3rd year, So I mean, he could be in negotiations, kind of the chat about what's going to happen next year. So if he has some kind of an out to go Hall of Fame, maybe, or I mean, he's 52, so I'm kind of like, is he getting a Mania match next year, kind of a thing? Now, wishful thinking, we'd all love it, but yeah, and it's amazing that not a lot of people have that influence or connection with Vince where the door stays open. It takes a lot longer. You're talking 10, 20 years. Let's think back of a few of them who took a while before they were welcomed back to WWE. So the fact that it's so soon for Chris Jericho and it's so welcome, he's cool with it, is, I think that's pretty awesome, to be honest. We were chatting, we were saying there must be more to it.
Yeah. Joe, what's your take, my man? Obviously, this is huge. Like, it's you know what I mean? It's got the imagination going for a lot of us, and it's probably come at the right time with Mania next week.
Yeah, that's the thing. The Mania Sunday, like, that they're going to have it on the same day as the second night of WrestleMania is massive. Like there was a lot of content for us to watch next week alone. When they landed that on us, I was blown away. But it's great for the industry. I hope it hope it actually opens doors for them, not to, like, obviously invite them into WrestleMania or something, just to let people move back and forward. Like, people say, oh, you don't want to get your fucking talent over our talent, like, kind of thing. Like, but I just hope, they don't turn around Monday after Mania and say, pretend that the AEW doesn't exist anymore, like, after having Jericho on. Yeah. I just hope it keeps going the way it is, like, and just having other people just mingle, like.
Definitely.
They're all friends.
Yeah, like, for the imagination, it's a dream come true. Phil, like, what's your take on it? Like, first of all, just for argument's sake, if Vince McMahon was to step away from his role and say Stephanie or Shane or Triple H, took over, do you think they'd be for the, the open door, the forbidden door, or do you think they'd stick with the policy? Because we all want to see the mingle. Obviously, AEW maybe, wrestle in WWE. Like, it's a win-win for everyone. But what's your take on this whole Jericho and Austin thing? Do you think Jericho is on the brink of maybe going back? You think there's a catch? You think it's going to be AEW talk, or what do you reckon is going to happen?
I was trying to think of it yesterday. I think Chris, what does he have, like 8 months left or something, or a year, not even?
Yeah.
I think he'll stay with AEW, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think there's too much involved now with this whole inner circle thing. If he leaves, that whole thing is gone.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't push the whole thing if they knew he was leaving.
Yeah.
Would they do career versus like new leader though? Do you know he has like that end match where it says, Tim, relax there now, right? You haven't heard the whole idea and you're shaking your head like fucking Churchill. Hang on, right? I'm just saying he might have like a career match where it's like, you know, or it's him versus whoever and they become the new leader of the inner circle, because I think they need someone like Chris Jericho, considering how he's kind of coaching AEW youngins that have come in. They need someone like him on Raw, you know. So you don't know, that door could be open to him too. You can shake now, Tim.
We might hear what Tim has to say now while he's shaking his head.
Yeah. Here we go, brother.
Christ. He's in AEW for the long haul. He's not going to risk taking going back to WWE, you know, say when his contract is up in AEW and end up getting buried. Look, Kurt Angle went back there and they said he was going to be a coach for life and this and that, and he was released in budget cuts. Yeah. Angle's a huge name. You can't be releasing him.
The big thing I want to know is, will he talk about AEW on the show?
Yes, 100%. Austin has full say on the content of his show. And I don't think Jericho would have came on if he wasn't allowed to mention this. I honestly think he may have went into the Hall of Fame Thursday night. Like Tuesday when they filmed the first Hall of Fame, they let him post all the pictures of the Hall of Fame, the full class, this and that, which we saw there was no Jushin Liger and there was no William Shatner. But like, obviously, there's been no leaks of the second lot of the Hall of Fame. And there also is less people going into it.
Yeah.
So what a way for WWE to put him in, which he deserves to go into the Hall of Fame. But also, with no live fans there, the fans aren't going to take over and start chanting AEW at a Hall of Fame ceremony.
Yeah.
And it will shock people as well.
Yeah. Matt, what's your take, brother?
Yeah, I think when you say that you think that WWE and AEW is going to make, like, you know, a joint thing where there's going to be constant crossovers, I can't really see it, but I think WWE is at this point where they need to acknowledge that there's other wrestling companies, because for so long WWE was like thinking, oh, you can see many wrestling shows like Raw, SmackDown, NXT, nothing else. But I think the audience of WWE is copping on. Like, they're not WWE fans anymore, they're wrestling fans. They say, we know that there's an AEW, we know there's an Impact. They feel like WWE is not giving up, but they should start acknowledging other companies and, like, wouldn't take jabs, but maybe in some way respect each other. Not like a crossover we see, but maybe just acknowledgement. And I think Chris Jericho on the Broken Skull session will mention AEW, like Tim and Phil said, and he will talk about exactly how the system in AEW works and about his time in WWE, because I just read Chris Jericho's book and he's a businessman. Chris is a businessman with Vince, and they definitely work something well out. They know how to get people talking. They know how to get people involved, not just in WWE, but maybe in AEW as well, who never had a chance to look at AEW. Even AEW fans that might give WWE fans another shot. So I think this will definitely open doors in some way. But I keep thinking, I know this is random, if you can recall back in 2010, remember when Christian Cage, when he was the Intercontinental Champion, he came to TNA, and Ric Flair, who was with TNA, got into the Hall of Fame at the Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
Can you recall it? Yeah, because they actually made...
Yeah, it's a similar thing.
Yeah, I feel like because they made a deal, do you think they made a deal?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like, we'll get Chris Jericho on the Broken Skull session. You can get one of our guys on AEW for one night, probably. So that's what I thought as well, a similar thing.
No, that's a great theory. It's got everyone talking on Twitter. It's been trending. Yet again, we all thought it was a joke. The intro, the countdown, the way the countdown from 10, Austin and Jericho turning to the camera. It's surreal. You know what I mean? I just can't wait. I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but I don't think it's just going to be an interview, lads. I reckon this is going to lead to something. I just can't see it stop there. I could be wrong, but I think, you know what I mean, we might see Jericho say, look, I might go back in time and do something. But yeah, it's hard to see him leave. Like, if he was to leave AEW, as you say, Phil, it'd be strange because he's worked so hard to build a brand. it makes no sense to walk away.
You won't.
That's why I think it's the Hall of Fame. Like WWE yesterday on their main page, there's the best of Chris Jericho section. Like they usually put it down to the bottom so you can't see where the content is for wrestlers that are with other companies. On the main page, a big huge section, the best of Chris Jericho, in the exact spot all the Eric Bischoff stuff was, and he went into the Hall of Fame.
I did love how Austin asked Vince. That was hilarious.
Just text him.
Yeah, but he just did a thumbs up. I can't stand those thumbs up. I really hate them.
Yeah.
I hate them.
But see,
noted.
Yeah,
but a lot of AEW fans,
it's kind of like
Peacock might actually buy, or get Peacock or the WWE Network just to see the interview. Like, we might have already been signed up.
Well, that's it. Who's it bring? But like, what is it bringing eyes to? It's bringing eyes to the Broken Skull sessions. Do you know what I mean? So I'm with Jerry on this. Jerry C. I'm with Jerry C on this because there has to be more to this, because we're only bringing eyes to Broken Skull sessions. So why are we bringing eyes to a pre-recorded Hall of Fame? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I feel my gut tells me there's more to it. Yeah. But if it was Hall of Fame, absolutely.
Yeah. You just know it's they're not going to leave it there, like, you know what I mean? Obviously, Jericho, he's the main guy in AEW when it comes to the whole connection with WWE. I love what you said, Phil, about Vince and Stone Cold and he texted him. I reckon there's only 3 or 4 guys that can do that with Vince.
Oh, yeah.
One being Stone Cold, 2 being The Undertaker. Who is the other 2?
The Rock and John Cena.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
actually, you could actually add Chris Jericho to that, to be honest.
Well, yeah. 5.
He said he was never on bad terms with Vince when he went to AEW.
And the Big Show did say when he left that Vince ran
him and congratulated him.
Yeah. So and Chris Jericho said in his podcast a while back, I said it before, was Vince actually contacted Chris Jericho saying, can you come in and sign your contract? And literally a day before, Chris Jericho signed contract with AEW. And he straight up said to Vince, I can't. I'm with AEW now. And Vince said, is there no way you can back out? And he said, no. So they have a good relationship again. I read his book, so they're like that, apparently. So
never a bad word on the podcast either, on Talk with Jericho. He never has a bad word to say about Vince Duke. He's very respectful of what he does. As the guys were saying, they're businessmen and super respectful of what the other does.
Yeah. Jor, if you were Vince McMahon, right, do you allow AEW to come in and work at some capacity with WWE, or do you protect the brand? Because obviously Impact, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, they're all doing it. Now the fans, yes, they have that big vision of these matches, but is it a phase? Is it something that wears out after a couple of months, a year? Or do you let them, what way would you work it? Because obviously, to me, I'd probably protect the WWE brand. It's just itself, right? So it's always going to be itself, but you allow it. Like, we've seen what happened with the invasion. We've seen what happened after the invasion. So invasion happened. We've seen a couple of wrestlers stay around like Booker T and some of the good guys. Obviously, that kind of worked, but it fizzled out. What's your take? If you were Vince, what would you do?
He's definitely going to protect the WWE brand, hands down. But he doesn't have to protect NXT hands down. So maybe in the long run, if Triple H is open to NXT talent working with AEW talent, now that they're on different nights, it might be something. I can't see them working with Raw or SmackDown, or maybe have a words collide kind of, what they had before, and have a specific NXT versus AEW pay-per-view where nobody has an issue with going over. Adam Cole's friends with half the AEW roster. I don't think he'd have a problem letting Kenny Omega go over on him with having Balor, Adam Cole against Omega and the club and all this, something that would fucking blow the internet wide open if that happened. I can't see Raw or SmackDown, anytime soon. But if Triple H is open to it, he seems more open to it than Vince does.
But see, if they do this next week on Raw and SmackDown, just say they do a World Collide, right? And it's all the brands across the world, and they do it once a year. But just imagine that one episode of Raw and SmackDown, the fucking ratings would be huge. As in probably an all-time high, you know what I mean? Even
Survivor Series is a pointless pay-per-view at the minute. Nothing, there's no bragging rights. There's nothing to it. But if you're Team Raw versus Team SmackDown, or Team NXT versus Team AEW or Impact or whatever,
invasions prior to it.
Yeah, it's mad.
But,
it's mad.
But ratings are down across the board on everything.
Everywhere.
It's not even just wrestling; it's everything.
Yeah.
But you think that's just the way it's gone.
Well, the last episode, Impact got 118,000 viewers or something.
Yeah, but look, it could just be the way it's gone. It's like, you know, we all used to listen to the radio when we were a bit younger. No, we kind of don't. We listen to podcasts or we might listen.
For wrestling, it's more like I'm just going to go on YouTube tomorrow and watch it. I'm not watching a 3-hour Raw. I'm just not watching a 3 hour, especially after last week's was the last week.
We'll get to that, boy.
It was the worst show I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, still traumatized. Now, what we'll come straight to all that, but I want to get to a mad topic, right? What the fuck happened with the Hurt Business? Elizabeth, what has happened? Jor, Matt, Phil.
Calm down.
Well,
Rabble.
Vince McMahon had a closed door meeting with him the other day.
MVP and Bobby Lashley didn't he went in with Vince, and they tried to change his mind because even they knew that this was an absolute shit show, splitting them up, and went in and his mind couldn't be changed. You know, if it's a work, and I know that they're like barred whatever from the title match, but if it's a work and they're going to come in and, you know, cost Drew the match, and, you know, we're all like happy again and haha, it was a big ruse. Honestly, the brains behind planning Monday Night Raw ain't that fucking strong. Okay, so there's definitely not an awful lot of that going on, firstly. Secondly, why to go to all this work of getting Drew over? Everyone is Drew. Hogan was on After the Bell the other day, and it's, you know, I've got something about Drew McIntyre. It's like, stop Roman Reignsing him down our throats because he's going to be fucking booed if he loses or if he wins. And I feel bad for him. I really do. It's not his fault, but it's just like, we'll just keep ramming him into our face until we accept it. And I'm like, no, because you made a beast out of Bobby, you fucking idiot. So run with Bobby. I can't understand the mechanics behind it. But the fact that they all went in and said, Vince, this is a fucking disaster. And he was like, oh, it's good shit with their meeting. I'm like, oh, fucking hell. But,
somebody backstage decided that he needed more heat. So they're like, Corbin has the most heat, so let's just throw him in.
We just don't talk about Corbin and pretend he doesn't exist.
Now he's going to be booed until about 2022.
Yeah.
Me and Tim were talking about it on the night.
I know.
Jor, you look afraid and you look very pale, Jor. I wouldn't blame you. Like, she knows how to talk. But what's your take? Obviously, like, it could be a work, and I'm hoping it's a work. Timmy had his fingers crossed. Phil is not.
I don't think it's a work. I think what Phil was saying is right. Is Bobby was getting too much. The fans were getting too much behind him online. They were behind the Hurt Business, and they weren't. You know, they're heels, but they weren't heels to the fans. Like, so who's the most hated person in WWE at the minute? Corbin. Like, he's going to bring heat to Bobby. Like, they want Bobby to get booed at WrestleMania, but it's going to be opposite effect. Like, they're
not going to boo Bobby.
Drew if he wins at all. Nobody wants to see Drew win it. I'm sorry. I know everybody's hoping for his big WrestleMania moment in front of fans, like, but the moment's past. It's past. They need to build him up again in front of fans before he wins the title again.
Yeah.
But knowing their luck, they'll turn him heel in the summer.
They should turn him heel.
They should.
Make him a monster again. He was brilliant as the psychopath.
Yeah.
He's got a psychopath,
He was.
Or have a heel tag team with Sheamus as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Imagine it. Phenomenal.
Yeah. Matt, what's your take on it, brother? Obviously, is it a work, the Hurt Business? I thought they were fucking incredible from start to finish. Are they done? Are they just doing a work? You know what I mean? What's your take on it?
I agree with, first of all, I agree with Jer, was like, no one wants to see Drew McIntyre win. They should have just given him a break from the main title picture and then boost him up. But when you mentioned the Hurt Business, when you said, Jerry, you think they're done, I really don't want to say they're done. I mean, we can all agree. I think everyone who knows WWE and knows wrestling knows that the Hurt Business was the best stable in wrestling in WWE. And I'm just like, I don't know what to say. I'm like, why did Vince do this? Is this just to build Drew McIntyre up? Is this just to make Bobby Lashley look weaker, make him look like a heel carrying behind other people, other wrestlers? I don't know. I want us to like maybe make a Magic Wanda wish that all the Hurt Business was playing along. They were acting like they'd broken up. So maybe that they're trying to get into Drew McIntyre's head. But that's just a what if scenario. I honestly don't know what Vince is thinking doing this to the Hurt Business. I mean, like, the Hurt Business could go on for like years. Even if they break up, if they go their separate ways, they're still going to be the Hurt Business, but as friends, as like a group circle, like the infamous Clique, for example. But oh God, I honestly can't answer this, lad. I just don't know why they just do this to the Hurt Business. It's just.
Did you see Batista said? Batista put up a tweet about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did he say?
Oh, just that whoever's in their right mind, like, is just not good.
Mm.
He actually really loves the business. Like Phil, like, you know what I mean? You see it from start to finish, just like everyone else. And like, what's your take? Obviously, if it's for real, it's really bad for business.
I want it to be fake, but it's not.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon's just a stubborn man when he wants to be.
But why is he like? What's his thinking behind it?
I think he's what I said earlier. Like, he just wants heat on Bobby, and it's not happening. So they're just true. They just looked at the Raw roster and probably said, "There's no one here, so let's just get Cork from SmackDown."
But remember, I'm going to relate back to WrestleMania 34, Tim, when we were in New Orleans and Roman Reigns was fighting Brock Lesnar. The whole match was booed.
Yeah.
If you remember it, because obviously on TV it sounds different. When you're there, you're just like...
Couldn't even hear anything.
What the fuck? It was like, boo. Like, do you reckon it's the case the Bobby and Drew match can go that way, Phil?
No, because it's going to go on first. It won't. That's the main reason.
That's why it's going to go on first.
Only reason.
They'll get the emphasis. The fans are delayed. We're seeing live wrestling. Woo. Then they're going to realize afterwards, we should have been booing this, but it's going to be too late because the buzz will be there because of it being the first match.
And are we all agreeing that Bobby's going to be true?
I think, for the sake of Raw, I hope so. If Raw's in deep trouble, if Drew wins.
Drew's going to win, even though we don't want him to. They're going to change one of the titles, and they're going to change one of the world titles at WrestleMania, and they're not taking it off Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
I love Drew McIntyre, like, when he first came into NXT, and, you know, he worked his way up, and I absolutely loved his title run, even with this dark time we're living in, lads. But if they're going to constantly shove Drew McIntyre down our throats, like, remember how John Cena got hated? Because he kept getting shoved down our throats with the title, and they should have given a break. I want them to do this with Drew McIntyre. Like what Jer said, give him a break and maybe have him go to the mid-card or become a monster heel, become the psychopath with Sheamus, like I mentioned.
The tag team is the best thing to do with him.
Exactly.
Or just have Lashley destroy him at WrestleMania and take him up for a win.
Completely squash him.
Like I remember SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar versus John Cena, and Brock Lesnar destroyed John Cena, a popular fella. Do that with Bobby Lashley. Destroy Drew McIntyre, make Bobby look like a monster, and give Drew a break. But
it also builds Bobby up for that Brock match, which will happen eventually.
Yeah. The only reason that didn't happen at WrestleMania is because Brock won't leave Canada.
Yeah.
I don't think this was the scheduled match. I do not think Drew McIntyre was set to face Bobby Lashley. I think they were hoping if they gave the belt to Lashley that it might finally change Brock's mind and bring him in. And I still think he's just refusing to come down. He's refusing to travel over COVID.
And he doesn't have a contract.
Yeah.
Crazy times. Obviously, we have to touch base on Raw and SmackDown. Everyone's going to nod their heads. Although
we can skip Raw.
Keep Raw.
Fair enough.
I won't skip it. I just think that what they done 3 comedy skits in this whole show, and the Miz one was the best one, but it still wasn't great.
Yeah. Have they really, really, really and truly and utterly fucking dropped the ball with The Miz? Because The Miz doesn't really wrestle much all year. He was obviously the champion.
But 3 weeks ago he was champion, and then he was in a bunny suit on Raw.
That was brilliant though.
Yeah.
But he's the only one they could put in with Bad Bunny to make a good storyline, and it'll be a match that we're not expecting, you know. If they put anyone else in that match, it wouldn't work. Bad Bunny is coming in, he's this huge star in America. I still haven't a clue who he is.
Yeah,
but he's the highest selling person on Spotify, highest selling person on WWE Shop. Putting him in against The Miz works because The Miz has lost so many times. It doesn't, wins and losses don't count with The Miz. We all still love him.
Man, yeah. Well, it's
he'll turn anything into, like, if you give him lemons, he'll turn it into lemonade. He's the best at making the best of an okay situation. He'll do it to the best of his ability.
And like, who else were they going to bring in to put up against Bad Bunny? There's nobody else on the roster you could put up against him that would have, this storyline would have worked.
I think he wants to do it. I think he's happy enough to do it as well. I was over in the park.
Yeah.
I was watching a guy on a bike spinning around, and he was listening to this tune. And you know the way you Shazam a song, and it was Bad Bunny. I was like, who owns that song? And I didn't know who it was, but it was Bad Bunny. But yeah, I suppose you're right. Like, The Miz obviously he plays his part. Obviously, he's cashing in big checks every year. He seems quite happy. We're going to go to SmackDown because no one wants to talk about Raw.
Well, I just want to say one more thing because it's really what was going on with AJ Styles playing charades.
Yeah.
I was like, and then your man talking as well was even worse again.
They needed to keep him shut up till WrestleMania and just basically have Styles carry the match and then just have him destroy the New Day at the very end with choke slams or power bombs or something.
Yeah.
He doesn't need for this tag team. He doesn't need to be able to wrestle.
Yeah,
exactly. He can be like when Diesel was with Shawn Michaels. Was when Diesel was so green he couldn't wrestle. And we didn't need him to wrestle. We just needed him to be a big man and back Shawn up. That's all you need him to do. Do a power move at the end. 1, 2, 3.
I've never shook my head so much during the show.
Yeah, I remember the message you were sending me.
Okay, can I just say one thing? I know we need to move on to SmackDown, but Shane McMahon's promo with Braun Strowman was just dragging. He sounded like he didn't want to be there.
They make this train noise. They put on this fake train noise.
Don't talk about train noise.
They're running around the ring.
Yeah, love it. Here for it. It's a fucking abysmal.
Ah, yes.
Also, don't mind me holding a pen. I just want to look intelligent for a bit. But
very good.
Now working.
But just one more thing because I know this thing with Matt Riddle. Anybody see that?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Stop. Apparently they loved it.
Yeah.
And he forgot his line. They left it in. They didn't even record it against. They thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, it was pre-taped. It wasn't live.
Oh, they never do them live.
As a fellow Matt, I can understand that would constantly happen to someone like that. So,
well, look, I'm going to bring up. Obviously, we've seen Corbin. He's obviously helping Lashley and stuff. Lads, he's like a fly to shit. He's constantly around the place. Like, now look, when he beat Angle at WrestleMania 35, I was a bit pissed off.
I wanted to walk out of the arena.
No, it's not his fault. But
I wanted to leave.
They were trying to build him, like, you know what I mean? But he's still kind of in the mix, you know what I mean? And I know he had the money in the bank and that went tits up, and I know he's always kind of in the mix for I don't know, God only knows. But what's the story with him, lads? What can you see him do?
Retiring, hopefully.
He's in the Battle Royal next week.
Yeah.
That shows how much they think of him.
Yeah.
But look what shows how much they think of Shinsuke Nakamura as well, for fuck's sake.
Jey Uso.
You get over him because he's still involved in a major storyline at WrestleMania.
No,
but he's worked hard all year. Like, he's had a really, really good 6 months.
But he's not feuding with anyone because he's involved in the storyline with Reigns, so that they had to just give him a match. But like, he's still going to be at WrestleMania on the card, so he's still get a WrestleMania payday, obviously. Having Shinsuke Nakamura in that match is criminal.
He'll be gone in the next year or two.
No, he's happy to stay. He's happy to stay in Florida and go surfing and show up once a week to wrestle.
He'd be one of the people who'd be happy to lose to somebody from AEW.
Yeah.
To do the job for them.
He doesn't care about wrestling. He just wants the money at this stage. He said it even towards the end of his New Japan reign. You saw how lazy he got because he was phoning it in. He'd lost his passion and he just wants the money now.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
So we'll switch to SmackDown. SmackDown was a bit better. It was Timmy's favourite SmackDown of all time because there was a certain celebrity on it.
I turned it off.
You did.
I did.
You did not.
You turned it off.
I turned it off.
When it finished, when you seen your buddy, tell us about your buddy Tim.
I turned it off.
You did.
We did turn it off. There, we were talking about it. It got off.
I know Roman Reigns, or I know Kevin Owens pushed him, and I hope he throws him off the pirate ship that they're building at the stadium, and maybe he lands on his head or something.
If you seen him in person, Tim, what would happen?
I'd hit him. Your man had no problem. Your man had no problem going into a woods where there was people have to hang themselves.
Mention his name there, Tim. What's his name?
What, Logan Paul? Yeah, I hope Mayweather absolutely batters him around the ring when he boxes him.
I hope when you punch him, you're not wearing a WrestleSlam top. We might get sued.
Well, that would give us headlines, wouldn't this? All publicity is good publicity.
I suppose. So look, overall, it was a decent episode. To be fair, not a bad little finish to it. Tim, what was your take on it?
The right thing to do was to bring him in for ratings, obviously, but I don't think he was the right one to bring in. There was plenty more guys they could have brought in. But like,
the thing is, they had a debate recently. Who is the big celebrity like Tyson they could bring in? That's not old. That's in their 30s.
They wanted him for who he is because young people think they love him for some reason. Like they're bringing up that he's a boxer. He's not a boxer.
Like Conor McGregor would be better.
McGregor won't do it yet. McGregor won't go down to WWE yet because he wants to still be taken seriously as a fighter.
Yeah. Obviously, we've seen Brian had a good match with Jey Uso in a street fight.
I love that chain with the forearm.
Yeah.
He definitely whipped him a few times with it.
Yeah, you could see he caught the chain in his hand because it came loose because he would have destroyed him otherwise.
Yeah, it was good. Like I you know what I mean? I wouldn't. I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. That SmackDown episode. I watched the highlights.
What did you think of this Nigerian drum fight?
Yeah, crazy. I like what they've done with Apollo, but I think some of the scripts and some of the lines are a bit mad. You know what I mean?
His accent as well is a bit mad.
Yeah, I
coming
like
to America.
Yeah, what they're looking for, obviously. I don't know. It seems to be going on that line, like, you know.
But he doesn't even know what the match is, I'd say.
No one does.
I like that he explained it a little bit because when I saw it, the first thing I thought was what I put in our group. That was the first thing that came to my head. I was like, a drum fight. And, you know, when Michael Flatley dances against the drummers in Riverdance, that was the first thing. And I thought, oh, my God, this is going to be unreal. It's going to be like a street dance battle. And so I was like, woo, this is going to be great. But the fact that he explained that, you know, you beat your opponent so much that they sound like a drum or something similar, I was like,
wait for his special entrance.
But still not sure.
Wait for his special entrance with all the guys with the drums. I tell you now.
It'd be frightening.
Oh, yeah. Like, Sting at Mania 31, we had all the drums bringing them out. That would be cool.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, it's just, it's, you know what I mean? Look, I like what they've done about Apollo. Like, he kind of looks like Mr. T sometimes, and he looks like, you know what I mean? But I really did like it when he first done it. And obviously he's he's representing Nigeria, and it's
yeah.
You know,
At least this isn't a made-up storyline like with Kofi Kingston being Jamaican. Like, at least he's really of Nigerian descent.
Yeah.
And plus, I always got the vibe that Apollo Crews, whatever gimmick you're going to give to him, even if it's the most ridiculous thing, he'll make it work. And I do like the fact how he said one promo was like, "You're wondering why I'm talking like this? Is because it's the accent of my people." Because I immediately thought of Triple H's Hunter Hearst Helmsley accent and Kofi Kingston's accent. I was like, don't do this. But they acknowledged that he was talking American, now he's different. So I was like, oh, good, acknowledgement. So
right, lads, we're going to go to Seth Rollins and Cesaro. Obviously, what I'm really liking about Seth Rollins this day and age is the way he's dressing. Yeah, we had to scream. Now, I'm sure Joe dresses better. It is a bit. I know he does because I've seen George dress, and he's a good
man.
I love it. Obviously, Rollins and Cesaro, lads. I'm going to be fucking bold, and I'm going to say this. I believe this match could possibly steal WrestleMania.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Rightly so. We've seen a lovely, like a couple of months ago, we seen that really passionate promo from Cesaro that he's worked hard. He almost broke down in the midst of saying it. I'm really hoping Cesaro has a big 2021. Do I believe he will be a WWE champion? Yes, I do. When, I don't know, but I believe it will happen. Rollins, Cesaro, possibly the match at WrestleMania. Elizabeth and Jor, what's your take on this one, first of all?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great match. Cesaro wasn't great last night on the promo.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need to be great in the promo. I'd like someone to be with him, like as a manager or a mouthpiece for him, like to talk him up. You know, his ability is second to none. Like, so I think the way they call him Seth, Mr. WrestleMania now, like now that Shawn Michaels isn't around, is a big thing for him. Like, he's going to outperform everybody at WrestleMania. That should be his thing. Like, whether it's a title or not, it should be you want to have the best match at WrestleMania, and that will be Seth's thing going forward. If he's not a champion, like, he's going to have the best match. Because Michaels was like that, even when he wasn't wrestling for titles. Like, he just wanted to be the best match on the card, and most of the time he was.
Yeah, it's like, obviously we've seen the little segment yesterday, and it's gearing up nicely. But obviously, what you said about Cesaro was spot on. If he had someone next to him to speak him up, like a Heyman, imagine the Heyman doing magic.
It's like that already, though, a few years ago.
Yeah.
That was just to keep Heyman on TV, though.
Yeah.
So he won the Andre the Giant Memorial, if you remember, and
unreal.
That was unreal. I remember the pop for that. It was just incredible. And clearly, obviously, we've seen him with the Bear, Sheamus, which was probably, they're fairly underrated as a tag team. I thought they were actually brilliant.
They were great.
Yeah.
They were great.
Yeah, they were very good.
And because they're such friends as well, you could tell, their chemistry in the ring was phenomenal, and their timing was brilliant as well. Jerry's bang on, same as you were saying, Jared, that Cesaro, his comedic timing is a bit off, and I think it's down to his accent a little bit, which is a shame. So, like, we were chatting about it earlier, and even to have, they're either scripting him really, really, I'm from another country, but I speak English, or they're not scripting him at all. He's trying to do it naturally and ad hoc, maybe, and just kind of fly by the seat of his pants with it. But someone like Sheamus obviously is still an active superstar who would have had great chemistry with him. So did Tyson Kidd. When they were a tag team, he would be great helping him writing his promos because they're such good friends outside of the ring. So I think that would really, really help him if he's not already, because he would know what makes him tick and kind of build him up a little bit as well. And a huge shout out to Seth Rollins' suit this week. There's a nod there to a Taylor Swift lover on his suit, and I am absolutely here for it.
We don't have time to talk about that. Let's move on.
I agree.
On a bit of what Timmy got, do ya? Are you calling me out for a bit of what Timmy got?
No comments.
Yeah.
I guarantee next year, right? This is right. Let's make a bold prediction, right? Tim, when we're all out in WrestleMania next year, God bless, that we can get out there and we're all vaccinated, or look, whatever way it works out, you'll have to wear a tux to WrestleMania.
You want me to die? It's Dallas.
Look, I don't care.
Yes. And it should be made of
polyester. You will have alcohol on the house for the whole event if you wear a tux.
Oh my God.
Is that a deal?
A tux of our choice.
Yes.
WrestleSlam printed all over it.
I wear that.
I love it. Now, I'm going to go back to Cesaro, right? I know I just spoke about him quite a bit. I know I spoke about Rollins. But, lads, would it be another scenario like Rusev? We've seen how hot Rusev was. Rusev there, the pop he had in the Royal Rumble that time, he was gone out of the ring. He came back into the ring and they were like, fuck, Rusev is going to win. Is it the case of Cesaro will be like Rusev and there'll be a catastrophe that they were never a WWE champion?
But do you know what the issue is, right, with this thing with Cesaro? If he wins or loses, it doesn't matter because it's where he goes next.
Yeah.
Like, if he's thrown in some random feud with someone who has no heat or nothing, people won't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he should go for Reigns next.
I do.
I bet you he'll go for Nakamura. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Send him to Raw is probably good. It's a fresh one.
We would have a great match.
Yeah.
I have a feeling there's a draft coming, to be honest, because they need to clean it up a bit.
They do. There's nobody left on either show to face the champions. Like, who's going to come up against the Raw champions, and who's going to come up against?
I reckon
Roman Reigns next.
Well, lads,
is coming to Raw.
Every time there's a draft, it's bullshit anyway.
Yeah.
God, stop.
I've never really seen a good draft by the time Balor got drafted from NXT. He was like one of the first picks. That was probably the last draft I actually remember that was decent.
The only good one was the first one.
Yeah. So I mean, a draft is bullshit. Like, they're trying to replicate the NFL, or you know what I mean, or some. It's just I don't know. Happy days when you had Raw and SmackDown, when all the wrestlers were on Raw and SmackDown. No, don't get me wrong. That's not nice then for the guys that are trying to break onto the scene. But
Exactly.
I don't know. I don't know. It's mad.
I used to enjoy the draft, I think, when I was a bit younger, but like I feel like I'm like with Jaren, like what's the point in it? Because every time I feel like if I blink my eyes, I see one fella from SmackDown with on Raw, another person from Raw to SmackDown. I'm like, there's no point at this point.
But they need to freshen the rosters because the rosters are repetitive.
Even if you're designing a game, if you're going to make the 2K, 21, 22 wrestling game, and you know the way they have the brand next to them,
yeah,
like they're fucking moving left, right, and centre. Like, you know what I mean? It's mad. It's mad. Right, we're going to go to AEW in a sec, guys. Right, but I was asked a question earlier in the week, right? And I had to pick one answer, right? What is your favorite and most iconic WrestleMania moment? You can only pick one. Now, there's been so many WrestleManias, guys. We're going into number 37. I picked Becky Lynch, being biased because I'm Irish and the fact that she won the double champs and I was there. That was my most iconic moment. Now, I could have easily picked another 10 or 12. Like, The Rock and Hogan for me is probably there. But I'm going to go to Joan Elizabeth first, right? You can pick one iconic WrestleMania moment, any WrestleMania, any match, any specific thing that happened. What would be your number one moment? It's probably hard to pick one, but if you had to pick one, what would it be?
I know what I'm thinking, and I know what you're thinking, and you know what I'm thinking, and I know what you're thinking. I 100%. We are both on the same one, but we don't want to say the same one. I put money on it.
I was thinking that, but I think it's something else.
Oh, cool. Can I go? The heist of the century! Mania 31 Rollins cashing in. I am still deaf in one ear from the noise that the crowd made. It was unbelievable. Everybody was exhausted after the longest day ever in the heat in San Francisco, and I swear to God, when he came out, unbelievable. But yeah, the heist of the century for me.
Love it.
That's exactly what I was thinking. But as a child growing up, it has to be Andre's and Hogan slamming Andre. Like
the slam heard around the world.
I'll just
because I'm a bit older than everybody here. I think.
No, you're not. You're
I'm 40. So. I was
way older than
a young child whenever that happened. That was one of the first things that got me into wrestling as a child. We were always watching ITV. We always watched the British old wrestling with Big Daddy and Jane Haystacks and stuff.
No, you're showing your age.
We were fans of wrestling back then. Like, we didn't know what WWF was back then. We didn't get it. So whenever that happened, that's when we really got into it. That was like the second WWF match I ever watched. The first one was WrestleMania 2, the Battle Royal with NFL and WWF stars, like the refrigerator winning that. Like, that was the first WWF match I ever watched, but it has to be Andre, the Slam.
I love it.
I was just going to say, Jer, I'm 26 and you look more younger and fresher than me.
I'm old enough to be your daddy.
Oh my God. Do you need to be burped? Yeah. Do you need to be burped?
We'll win, Jeff.
Joke's on you. I already burped like twice before the podcast, so... What am I talking about, for fuck's sake?
We're all good, so time for a nap.
That we love, yeah. What's your most iconic moment with WrestleMania in your young life to date?
Right. I don't know how to respond to that, but I know that this is like, you're going to roll your eyes when I say this. I feel like everyone says this about this WrestleMania, but to me, the best WrestleMania is WrestleMania 17. I know it's an obvious pick, but like that was actually my first WrestleMania I ever saw because of one particular match. I love the Dudley Boys versus Hardy Boys versus Edge and Christian and the TLC match because those were my tag teams growing up. But it had to be The Rock versus Stone Cold just because they were, when you asked me when I was younger, when I was in school, right? I know that I'm going deep into my life, but there's a huge debate who's better, The Rock versus Stone Cold, who's better, top two wrestlers. So that was my first time seeing them in the ring competing each other and had the best build-up promo ever. Like, literally won't never be topped. So to me, I think it's going to be The Rock versus Stone Cold. I know it ended with the famous Stone Cold versus Vince McMahon leading to the Invasion era, but I just, that match alone, that's, because that was my first WrestleMania, so it means a lot. So how bad?
Phil, you've had so many.
I'm going to go WrestleMania 10, Bret Hart winning the belt.
Love it.
Ooh, good call.
Yeah. No, it was just the first one I've ever seen, so it always holds something for me.
Yeah.
As a child. Just that whole show itself, like, that's so underrated.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Like, it has 2 5-star matches on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know there's a lot of crap on it as well with like Doink and all that kind of
Nothing
stuff.
wrong with Doink.
Love Doink.
But yeah, it was just that whole thing with like Roddy Piper being the ref. The whole thing was just brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
Timmy, you've been to a couple of WrestleManias yourself in person. I always remember when The Undertaker came out in New Orleans and you tried to hold my hand. You were so scared.
The Undertaker is by far the greatest thing to ever happen at WrestleMania. My favourite moment was when he retired Shawn Michaels. It was my first WrestleMania. I was there with my buddy. My buddy was next to me. He's diehard Shawn Michaels. I'm diehard Undertaker. It was my favourite moment. But I think the most iconic moment, and we'll all remember where we were when Brock Lesnar ended the streak.
Yeah.
I was watching it in my next door neighbour's house, and when Brock Lesnar beat the Undertaker, I went to bed.
Yeah.
I believe
I lost the plot. My friend Darren was at it, and his nephew Jonathan and them, and they rang me. Jonathan walked out. They had to go looking for him. He walked out of the arena, and he's not even diehard Undertaker. He's the fellow who's diehard Shawn Michaels. He was at WrestleMania, and he walked there to find him. He lost. He wasn't happy at all.
I'm not gonna lie. I was screaming. I was fucking delighted. I was delighted.
Fuck you.
Brock Lesnar was.
Hey, this
I
is
know
the
somebody
PPW.
that's only accumulate.
Do with Finn.
I was so funny because I kept saying, like, because we were watching with Buddy, I was like, I was waiting for this for years.
Jeez.
Look, I know where you live.
Like,
I actually
literally-
want them to lose so badly every year.
yeah. Yeah.
You're no longer related to me.
Bill, you like cats, don't you?
Oh my
I like
god.
cats. Like,
on a survey, that was probably it was the most iconic moment, I reckon. Obviously, Lesnar ending the streak. No,
I thought it was a
a
mistake.
lot of money that night. He was, what was he, like 70 to 1 or something?
Brock Lesnar was 66 to 1. I know somebody that done a 10 euro accumulator, and they were waiting on the Undertaker for $2,000, and they put him in. He only would have won an extra like €2 or something because of he was 1 to 66 on. But they just go, we'll throw him in. Undertaker doesn't lose at WrestleMania.
yeah.
I
Wow.
actually remember it was like I didn't watch that WrestleMania. I didn't see it because I actually had like a deadline due to the next day in
I
college.
wish I
like,
didn't watch it.
Yeah,
I wish that John Cena broke the streak.
yeah, that would have been interesting, but we'll get to that. But
I'm
when
I'm
only
taking the
trying to
bait,
wind him up.
I'm not taking the base.
I'm only trying to wind him up.
Thank God we're all in separate rooms here.
I was
I know where Philip lives. I go for a walk next to the baseball bat.
Yeah. No, look.
Can I please finish my emotional story?
Yes, Matt, yes.
No, I couldn't watch that WrestleMania because I had like a deadline the next day for college. But I remember when I went in, I avoided WrestleMania spoilers. And there was like a lot of lads saying about, oh, The Undertaker lost. But I thought they were winding me up. So I was like, yeah, whatever. But The Undertaker won. Saw it the next day, that day. I didn't want to talk to anyone that day, safe to say. So I was like, oh, they were telling the truth. Oh, God. Oh, I don't believe it.
I'm gone blank, but did the Taker actually talk about that and how he wanted to lose the streak?
Yes.
Did he say it was
He
nasty,
wanted-
or did he say he
Well,
wanted
Roman Reigns, he would prefer to lose the reigns.
Yeah, that was the plan, but that was a long time ago.
I was also there when Roman Reigns beat The Undertaker. That was probably worse.
Yeah, that match was really bad.
That was a demolition job. That was crazy. Crazy.
But Taker even apologized for that match, though. So he said it himself. He had no business being in the ring. He wasn't ready for it, and he even on his series he apologized to Roman Reigns for it. They showed it because he was like he had no business being in there. So I thought that was pretty cool that he did, and he acknowledged it. Like,
Yeah.
12 months too late, but you know.
Whenever Peacock get to that WrestleMania, I hope they wipe it off existence.
Yeah. Did you see the Raw after Mania the next night when Roman Reigns came out? There was
Couldn't get a
10
word in.
minutes. I was in the arena.
Couldn't
That
get a
was
word.
absolutely the television. We got
They
watched the
should
video
have
when
turned
he
him
came
right
out.
there. He should have been. He dropped the microphone and said, "This is my yard," and walked away. He should have been a heel from then on.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't do it. That's when they should have done it. I was in the arena that night, and I never ever saw a reaction like that. And like, I was there going, they're going to go full blown with this guy, and a week later he was a good guy again.
Or they thought he was going to be a face after that. Like,
Yeah. No.
Everyone thought he'd retired The Undertaker at that stage. Like, that was the time to run with it.
yeah. So they booed Shawn Michaels after Ric Flair when he came out for his farewell in Raw. They booed Shawn Michaels for retiring Ric Flair. Like,
Yeah.
And Ric Flair asked him to.
yeah.
Wrestling at its finest. We're going to finish off the show with All Elite Wrestling, guys. It's only fair. Phil, you've been watching a lot of it lately. There's obviously, a lot of stuff. A lot of people saying that, we're going to see some big stuff happen in the next few weeks, given the fact Mania is around the corner, and there's a lot of kind of talk, obviously, with Jericho, and he's on the Austin podcast. What's your take, first of all, on All Elite Wrestling these last few days? What news do you have for us?
That segment with Jericho and Ting was one of the best I've seen in a long time. Like, I know a lot of people would be like, "Oh, you love AEW and you don't like WWE or whatever," but if they're bad, they're bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people, I've got a lot of messages off certain people saying that I'm an AEW chief.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say who they are because it's not fair.
Yeah.
But no, but I think it's just kind of sad that you kind of have to message saying like, "Oh, if Goldberg showed up in AEW, you'd love him," and all this kind of rubbish.
No, you wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't. Exactly. That's insane. Yeah. But I'm just going to say it now because it was annoying me, because there's a lot of people saying stupid stuff, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm not usually I'm usually not one to call someone out, but it just got to the point where it was ridiculous.
How much are AEW paying you for this advertisement?
But let's be honest, that backstage brawl, first of all, was one of the best things I've seen. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
MJF opened the door
Outstanding.
And he just closed it again. That was just
brilliant.
That was brilliant.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
We gotta go.
Yeah.
Do you think the Pinnacle were attacked too soon?
No.
I do.
Jericho's been off television too long.
I don't think he's been off that long. It's been 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I think that we literally just got the Pinnacle coming out of a plane looking fabulous, and it's like barely 2 weeks later they're getting a beat down.
Yeah.
I don't know, was it a little bit too soon?
Yeah.
It was a great segment, but I think Liz is right. They didn't get a chance to. They should have been beating up people backstage for a couple of weeks before the Inner Circle come back and give them their justice. Like, just flushing MJF's head down the toilet 2 weeks after he started losing stable. Like, it was brilliant.
I think they wanted the shock factor a week before WrestleMania.
That's it, exactly.
But see,
They had pushed Triple H's head down the toilet after he started Evolution 2 weeks later. Like,
yeah, you're right. They should have been out on like, say, for argument's sake, if they went to the ring for 5-6 weeks and talked absolute shit, we're going to do this and do that, and then it kicked off.
A load of jobbers. Like, give them a load of jobbers for a few weeks first. Build them up to be
There's plenty of other stables for them to beat up there.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the match is not going to happen for another 8 weeks.
Yeah. So exactly, they could have 8 weeks of build of them beating up the Jurassic Express and whoever else. Like,
to be fair, AEW has like 1 or 2 stables, so they'll be grand.
You hear the story about
how many stables?
More than JP McCoy.
Thank you.
Oh yes.
Did you hear the story that TNT said they don't want any more surprises?
Yeah.
Yes. That's why Christian wasn't a surprise.
Yeah.
And there was a rumor floated out that a former champion was going to go to All Elite Wrestling. So a former WWE champion. So I'd love to know who they're on about, lads.
There was a bit of a thing with Andrade pretending to sign a contract, but I mean, the paper is fucking blank that he's sitting at the table in the cafe when he put up on his Twitter, and he was like, new beginnings. But I think it's a bit more of a ruse.
I think he's gonna end up in New Japan and work with Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I hope so. I like him. I really do like him.
He should do 6 months to a year away from the likes of WWE and AEW, build himself back up in Japan, put him back in with the lads he was with in Japan, have him in Ring of Honor and stuff, all the guys he can wrestle with are there, build his name back up, and then just show up and take out Omega.
Yeah, do what Drew done. Exactly what Drew done. That's what he should do.
Drew built himself back up on the Indies after he left TNA. Remember, he was in ICW. He showed up one night actually in OTT. He saved Martina.
Yeah.
And he just looked like a monster. And then WWE came back in straight for him and they pushed him and brought him into NXT.
Yeah.
That's what they need to do.
Yeah.
Interesting times ahead, lads. We have our biggest show. I always say biggest or greatest or whatever. But look, next week, every week it gets bigger and bigger. Next week is the Mania. I think we're going to wear the show on Saturday, so it's going to be on the day of WrestleMania. That's the plan. We'll know more, but it's going to be a big one. We're going to give all our predictions, talk about many things, obviously talk about Raw, because Raw will be on Monday, and then talk about a few other stuff. But lads, it's been an absolute honour. You've really soldiered on today in the lovely weather, the heat. We're spread out throughout Cork. We're in all different parts of Cork, whether it's Mahon or Cove or the city centre or Knocknaheeny or wherever we are. But look, all good. This show is going to go as always on Sunday. Looking forward to it, guys, the 4th. Thanks to everyone that has subscribed to us on YouTube, on the Sports Matters page, and obviously the WrestleSlam Twitter page and the WrestleSlam Facebook page. Myself and Joe had an Impact there on midweek. The interview's doing quite well. It was great to have him on. And obviously the whole Indian fans getting involved as well was pretty cool. Tito Ortiz talked about a development kind of training that we didn't even know about. So maybe he'll end up joining WWE in the near future. We'll have more guests on as the weeks go on. Stay tuned to next week as well, because there's 2 or 3 guests I think that we have lined up next week. So lads, yet again, have a great day. Thank you very much. Stay safe, and we'll catch you all next week, okay?
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Later.